Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is the morning, I think, of the 7th. I think we're almost caught up. And I wanted to talk to you about health and the holidays while I was getting ready. So I'm going to kind of do this in a somewhat similar fashion as I did my last video, where I'm not going to be editing out a lot, but I will be kind of editing out like some things. So right now I'm actually going to just be doing my skincare routine and putting my jewelry on and stuff like that for the day. So if you want to know the exact products that I'm using, you can go and watch Vlogmas Day 4. I will put a playlist up for you when I'm able, and I talk about pretty much all of the products that I use. So if you like chit chat, get ready with me that focus on skincare, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe so that you're notified every time I post a Vlogmas video this month. Okay, let's get into it. So when talking about, you know, the holidays and health, I feel like first I should start with kind of like myself and where I've come from and my like old way of thinking and kind of like my new way of thinking. So growing up, I always, and especially when I started like learning about forming habits and kind of like dieting and stuff like that, I always was a procrastinator. And I was always the type of person, oh, I'll wait for Monday. Oh, I'll wait for the new month. You know, it's just in a couple days. Oh, I'll wait for the new year. It's in like a month or two. And then I would always say that I would, you know, start doing what I needed to do. And pretty much, you know, I was determined to do it cold turkey. So I did the same thing at the beginning of this year, actually. January of 2019, I hopped on a scale. Number one, I did not like what I saw. Sorry, the sun is rising. All the way. It was rising before, so I had like a little bit of light, but now it's like, but, you know, I had always, I had always thought like this, so it was kind of like normal. January 2019 comes around and I do the same thing. And then about midway through the year, because of some of me not sticking to it was me being sick. Some of it was me taking like a really crazy medicine that was meant to help me, but ultimately kind of wound up making things more difficult for me. And part of it was just me getting frustrated with those things and then giving up. So I basically decided that I wanted to start doing a lot more research and figuring stuff out a lot more on my own about food and nutrition and working out. And I started shifting my focus from, you know, these health and fitness gurus that were just pretty and they would show you workouts and what I eat in a day, to people who have a lot of like real science and research and graphs and studies and stuff like that in their videos. Because to me, that made a lot more sense, and it also educated me a lot more about this sort of thing. So I I started watching lots of videos, and then after I would watch a video, I would do my own research. And basically, I kind of decided and figured out that for me, you know, the whole going cold turkey and just like jumping headlong into something was not good. I couldn't go from doing the absolute least to doing the absolute most. It just did not work for my brain, and it didn't work for my body. So I have a very, very long like fitness journey, but I feel like this is the first time that I'm doing it for the right reasons, and also the first time that I'm not worried about the number on the scale. And I kind of feel like that brings me to kind of like my next point, or like subject, and that's kind of like the thought process surrounding the holidays and health and fitness. I feel like there's like two ways of thinking. I feel like the first way is, you know, oh, like this will be my one last hurrah, and so like I'm gonna eat as much pie and turkey and drink as much as I can and everything like that, and on January 1st I'm gonna step on that scale and we're gonna start with that number, and you know, yada yada yada, basically. Whoa, I did not mean to do that. I meant to adjust my brightness. That was scary for a second. I'm sorry you had to witness that. And you know, again, kind of how I used to be like, oh, this is only holiday food, so this is like holiday food. I'm only ever gonna get it at the holidays, so I need to like consume as much of it as possible. Like, lest I forget the taste of it in the next 365 days. So you know, that's always kind of been, that had been always like my mindset about it. And then there's also the exact opposite, which I've also been through, and that is being very rigid and like unyielding with yourself, especially when it comes to your diet and meal plan and stuff like that. And I guess basically what it comes down to is people think, you know, okay, well, I decided to commit to doing, you know, such and such meal plan, so that means that like I'm not allowed to deviate from it at all, and if I do, then automatically, you know, that person thinks of themselves as less or worthless or undeserving or all these nasty things that you shouldn't think about yourself, especially when it comes to, you know, ultimately trying to take care of your body through nutritional and physical fitness. So, oh my, this hair. This hair. I don't even know what to do with it. Is this a look? Is this a good look? I mean, it's a look, but is that a good look? I don't know. I don't know what to do. Anyway, so, you know, and I think that does play into, I kind of talked about this in my live, about like, if you tell yourself that you're going to do something, you essentially treat it like a promise. And if you break that promise, then you start losing trust in yourself, which obviously is a very bad thing to have happen. So putting on my deodorant. I feel like those are kind of like the two extremes of like being on diets and stuff like that during the holidays. And I highly recommend that you kind of ease up on yourself. Don't go, and in both directions, like don't go and don't say, you know, oh, like this is going to be like my last hurrah, because number one, it's going to be very hard on January 1st for you to get into whatever plan you've decided to start doing. And also, you know, it's not good for your body to just like shove so many calories in, you know, drink to excess, all that stuff. It's not good for you. So, you know, I would say if you're going to go, and if you're going to kind of think of it as, you know, oh, well, I'll just start after the holidays. Obviously, that's totally your choice. And I know that the holidays are stressful as it is. So adding, you know, a health and fitness journey into that is not the kind of best thing to do for a lot of people. But also, don't forget that holiday food is not just holiday food. If you want a pecan pie in February, buy yourself a pecan pie in February. Don't eat the whole pie. And I think that that's part of the reason that we overindulge on these holiday foods, is because we think, oh, well, I'm never going to be able to have this again for a whole other year. So I might as well eat as much as humanly possible now so that I, you know, am happy, or like I won't crave it the rest of the year. And that's not true. You're going to crave it in January. You're probably still going to crave it in February. And every single time there's a holiday, you're going to have this thought process of, well, you know, I could, you know, these foods are just here for a little time, so might as well enjoy them to the fullest, sort of thing. And it's like, yes, enjoy them to the fullest, but you don't have to, you know, put yourself into a sugar coma in order to enjoy food. And if you are kind of the person that thinks, if you're the person that thinks the other way, then you have to go and you have to make sure that your plan is flexible enough, and that you are flexible enough with yourself to make sure that you're not going, if you break your plan, or if the plan has to change, that's not going to break you. That's not going to make you feel less deserving, or, you know, as if you're some sort of horrible, imperfect creature sort of thing. I like to think of it as a skyscraper. You know, the skyscrapers that are in Japan and on the west coast of the States and Canada, they make them with a bendable, flexible material so that when an earthquake hits, the skyscraper can kind of do this instead of that. So when an earthquake hits, you know, it bends and flexes and kind of sways. So yes, while people still feel it, it's not the building collapsing and breaking under the tension of having it, the forces go like this, and then as soon as the top part moves, the bottom part moves another way, and the building can collapse. You have to think of yourself the same way. If you are totally unyielding and rigid, and then something comes along and messes up your plan, you're just going to collapse. You're just going to give up and break under the pressure of not having everything perfect. But if you let yourself be flexible, then when something comes along, like a big old turkey dinner, and you can look at your plan and say, hey, I'm gonna use this as a cheat day, or hey, this will be like the unhealthiness out of my 80-20 week, or hey, like I'm gonna track this and be accountable for it, but I'm still going to enjoy it, and maybe make a couple of containers for yourself. Like once everybody's had some, put together a couple of containers for yourself that are all tracked out and put them in the freezer so that you can have them for the rest of the week, and you're being accountable, but you're still enjoying leftovers with everybody else, you know? Stuff like that. You have to be able to adjust accordingly, otherwise you will fail. The last two things that I'm going to leave you with is that, number one, if you get on the scale on January 1st, remember that you probably have not actually gained that weight. You are probably swollen, retaining a lot of water because you've just eaten a lot of salt, a lot of carbs, and a lot of sugar. And all three of those retain water in your body and make you poofy. Heck, look at me. Yes, I am overweight, but right now I'm actually very, very puffy, and I'm retaining a lot of water because I had a salty meal last night. I had McDonald's, and you know, McDonald's was in wasn't in my meal plan, but it just so happened that things kind of led up to that, and that's where we wound up, and that's okay. I think that, you know, don't get on the scale and get totally discouraged by that number because it's gone up over the holidays. Just give it a few days. It'll probably flush itself out of your system and you'll be back to where you were. The second thing, and this is the most important thing, this is for people who are just starting their weight loss journey, who are continuing their weight loss journey, who are jumping back on the scale after the holidays, who are jumping on the scale for the first time in the holidays. Whatever that number says, use it as a gauge of success in one area of health and fitness. Your worth is not defined by a piece of machinery that lies on the floor and runs on AA batteries. I promise you that. You are not defined by that number. That is simply can be used as a gauge for fitness. It does not have anything to do with your self-worth, your work ethic, or your determination to stay on your health journey and your health plan. So with that being said, I'm going to go to a holiday party right now, and I'm going to eat chili and rolls and a cookie or two, and it's going to be great. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. Again, thumbs up, subscribing, all that stuff is super helpful for me. I'm going to go put real clothes on now, not just my robe, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.